Welcome to DC FanDome. My name is Trish Bendix. I'm a regular contributor with the New York Times. You're watching the Batwoman panel, and I'm excited to be a part of this epic event because it's the first chance the world will have to meet the new Batwoman herself. But first, we'll be speaking with the cast about an incredible, action-packed first season on the CW. All right, before we get into what we have to look forward to on new episodes, I'd like to bring in executive producers Caroline Dries, who is also the show's creator, and Sarah Schechter, along with the show stars Rachel Skarsten as Kate Kane's sister Beth, and maniacal leader of the Wonderland gang Alice, Meagan Tandy as top crow officer and Kate Kane love interest Sophie Moore, Camrus Johnson as Wayne Enterprises go-to genius Luke Fox, and Nicole Kang as socialite do-gooder and valued member of the Bat Team Mary Hamilton. Well, thanks for being here. I'm excited to talk with you about season one. Let's just kick off. I'd love to hear from you all about, what the fan reaction has been like. It was a lengthy season, and I'm sure you've heard from all different kinds of people. So who wants to kick it off?
It was an amazing first season. I mean, we all had such a good time shooting it. I mean, the fans have been super supportive since day one, and they continue to be supportive. I'm glad that we got to end the first season on such a cool note because the fans have been freaking out about it for the past couple months. So I'm stoked to keep going.
Yeah, I think we were all just really excited to be a part of the whole universe, Like we were sort of fans ourselves, I think each and every one of us individually. Mm-hmm. So, just to get to be a part of something and then also just something so groundbreaking is really cool.
Yeah, and I will say, after one whole season with that under our belts, I feel definitely excited to be going into season two with sort of established takes on our own characters.
Yeah, just being a part of the whole Gotham world has just been absolutely so much fun. But the impact that the show is making it's just added the extra experience to this whole thing to just be so amazing. So it's Gotham, and then we're making an impact and we're doing some groundbreaking things. So it's awesome.
I'm just so proud of our cast. I was so nervous taking on the mantle of Gotham City, the Batman lore, the Batcave, the Bat gadgets, all of that comes with the responsibility that comes with a show that people are kind of already familiar with that world. And just getting able to create this really rich world of characters and having these actors just take on these roles and make them their own. It's been so rewarding. Like Meagan said, the extra of the fans just kind of feeling like we're doing something good for the world was unexpected and really appreciated. So I'm just so grateful that we're here for season two.
Yeah, and for Greg Berlanti and I think, look, we're so fortunate we get to really play in this world quite a bit and don't take it for granted. But Batwoman has just been an incredible addition. I love the darkness of it. I love the groundedness and obviously everything it has to say. And this cast is just incredible. So we're really lucky.
Was there anything particularly surprising for any of you, that you got to do, or even that you learned about your character or yourself through the process of season one? And also, Caroline and Sarah, if you want to speak to writing and creating this world, like if there was anything that surprised you that, maybe you didn't intend to happen, but, it came about somehow throughout season one.
I definitely didn't think that we could use Batman in the show. That was a huge surprise. I mean,
Bruce Wayne,
It was literally the first shot, the very first shot of the show was the silhouette of Batman, which I was told every step of the way you were not allowed to do. And somehow I'm on set and I was sending Sarah and Greg the footage from Video Village, and I was like, here's our first shot, and it was actually Batman. And so it was so cool. And then we ended, our last shot was Batman. The other thing that just kind of surprised me was how we stayed true to the family dynamic of the show, and how we have the Bat family and we have the Kane family and we have the Crow's family, and that was really empowering and enriching, and it was just felt like a regular drama, and then it was in this heightened world of Gotham that allowed us to have high stakes.
Yeah, I definitely say the characters were my biggest surprise. I mean, Hush is such an incredible, huge character. So being able to use him for multiple episodes, that was amazing. And then for Luke Fox specifically, I didn't expect in season one that I'd be able to go to such deep emotional lengths, to go from bawling, crying in the rain with, you know, confronting my alleged father's killer in one episode, and then, you know, attacking someone with a gun in the next episode. It's just, it went from 0 to 100 so quickly. And that was very cool. So I'm really excited to see what happens with him in the next season, because in this season, we get to see so many different facets of him in those 20 episodes.
I feel really lucky and special that we invested in the Kane family. And I feel really lucky that someone who looks like me gets to be a part of telling sort of a family dynamic. And we got to explore a really modern family and almost ground the show in that way. And I really am interested to see where that goes. And having to lose a parent just pretty early on in the season was something and a loss that I was almost glad, and I felt rewarded in that the fans felt as though it paid off and they felt for Mary. So I think that goes to show the work that everyone sort of put in to establish those really intimate dynamics really, really quickly.
Definitely. I'm curious about, you know, specific fan reactions that you've heard that were maybe, you know, just something that it didn't occur to you, or you didn't necessarily see in your character or yourself, or that you didn't expect for people to pick up on. Was there anything that, you know, you've heard that you were like, oh yeah, I guess I never thought about it?
Everybody always asks me to do my evil laugh. And I think it might just be my laugh. I don't know if it's like, I didn't specifically like craft an evil laugh. I just laughed at things. And then now everybody thinks it's this like evil laugh that I have. So I've just
Are you gonna
that my
change?
natural laugh is an evil laugh.
Speaking of Alice, I didn't expect so many fans to like want her to win so bad. Like, I feel like no matter what Alice does, the fans are like, yeah, more of that. You deserve it all. Burn it all down.
Well, it is 2020.
I guess what was kind of, I mean, it's not that I didn't already know of these things, but what was really just kind of interesting with Sophie was just the conversations that it started to spark, you know, seeing the reaction from a lot of the fans of their response of how Sophie handled the situation at Point Rock with Kate versus people who understood why she did it. Obviously there's, you know, so much controversy just in, you know, with that in of itself, but it sparked some really good conversations that's been, of course, you know, being in that position, it's kind of challenging. It's just like, don't be mad at me. But it's getting people to ask questions. It's getting people to question their own beliefs, like why that would be an issue. Like, why would you be mad at somebody who needed to cover? Like, you know, so I love that it's really sparked people to just ask questions and to just want to educate themselves. So
I maybe had an idea of how much an ally Mary was, but I think I really discovered that and found out about that, especially with her relationship with all of these characters. I feel like she's really rooting for everyone except for Alice, which makes for a good TV, I guess, because everybody's rooting for Alice too, but they're torn.
I didn't expect so many Luke and Mary ship tweets. They've been shipping.
Oh yeah.
But like,
can I say I'm a fan of Hamill.
Really, you're surprised?
I'm such a fan.
Hamill Fox.
Yeah, me too.
I'm on that bandwagon.
I came up with Hamill Fox myself, and I appreciate it.
You did.
I did. Yeah. Hamill Fox, I made up. Yeah. All the fans
It's
kind of figured
good.
it out, and I came up with Hamill Fox, and it became the thing, which is so cool. But like, it happened so early. It was like episode 3 maybe, and I think they just figured out like, oh, smart kid, they should be together. And then on episode 5, whenever Luke and Mary met, all the fans are like, this is it. They have to date.
Season 2 will be taking a very different turn with the introduction of a new Batwoman. And I'm so thrilled to be able to bring to you now. You might have seen her on God Friended Me or on BET's The Family Business. And now she's the CW's Ryan Wilder, AKA the new Batwoman, Javicia Leslie, everyone.
Yay!
Yeah, what up?
Oh my goodness, we're so excited to see you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, everyone.
Well, we want to welcome you officially. I mean, I'm not even a part of the Batwoman family, but I feel like they feel like I can extend the welcome to you right now. Everyone's so excited to meet you for the first time.
I'm still in shock too, but I was actually in the middle of praying and meditating because I needed something just to calm the anxiety because it had been, we were waiting for a while to find out and so I literally had just finished praying. And I looked over and it was my manager. And in my mind, I knew, I was like, she's calling to tell me I didn't get it. Damn it! And so I answered it and she said, hi, may I speak to Ryan Wilder, please? And I
that's cool. Wow. So, what were the initial sort of feelings? Because it's a big role, and you're starting in a second season of a show that's established. Like, tell us a little bit about, how are you feeling right now? And, what kind of, excitement did you have specifically to play a character like Ryan Wilder and Batwoman?
When I read the character description, it was definitely me. Like, I love the idea that, it's like goofy meets badass meets a person that doesn't like to be told what to do, a person that does not like to follow the rules. It's really hard for me sometimes when it comes to like, okay, well, you have to do it this way as Javicia versus what you have to do when you're an actress and when you're trying to present yourself. And so I love the fact that Ryan is just who I am, just a hot mess. And I'm really into action. Like, this has literally been my dream. It's so funny because in May I did an interview and I said, well, one of my future goals and one of my biggest dreams is to become a superhero. I wanted to be, a Black superhero. You don't get to see that often. And then a month later, I become the first Black Batwoman. So I think that's insane. And it really like hits the nail on the head when it says like, speak your dreams, speak your affirmations, and truly just know that whatever you really want to do and you continue to go towards it, it can happen. I also I love that it's action. Like, I love that I get to kick ass. I'm really into Muay Thai. I started Muay Thai like 2 years ago, but then when I had to go to New York for God Friended Me, I just moved into kickboxing because those classes are like a lot easier. So I was like letting off all of my stress on the bag instead of on a person. Able to do that every day on set is going to be super dope.
Amazing. And, I'm curious too, as a Black woman, as a bisexual woman who's stepping into this role, taking on an iconic character that we celebrate because she's a part of the LGBTQ community, but especially like you were mentioning, being a Black woman to take on this superhero role that Batwoman has never been Black before, right? So, I mean, how does that feel? And what, it seems like fans are so excited and they couldn't have been more thrilled to see that you were stepping into the role. So I'm curious about what you've seen from other people, and does that add any stress, or does it just add to the excitement?
No. It's honestly, it feels like an honor. It's funny because I was looking on Instagram and I was just kind of scrolling through like new followers, and I saw all these rainbows in the bio, and I just felt like a representation. I felt like exactly what I've always wanted to be, which was a role model. I feel honored. I feel excited. I feel like there's so many little Javicias, that don't have voices, little Black girls that didn't have a voice, little bisexual, bi-curious, lesbian, gay, everything that just didn't have voices. And I feel honored to be able to be a voice for my community, and the entirety of my community. And then to play a character that represents my community in the same way, like, that's not a common thing as an actress, to be a part of a community and play a character of a community. It feels really powerful. And I feel like with everything that's going on right now, this is what we need. We need to see representation. And I'm so thankful to Caroline. I'm so thankful to Sarah. I'm so thankful to Greg Berlanti and everyone at WB, because this is what's needed, not just for me. I'm looking at the entire cast of Batwoman, and it is representation. I'm like, my mom and I are sitting in the living room, we're just watching the show, and we're like, oh my goodness. You get characters of all different races and ethnicities, and it's not common, and I'm really honored to be a part of it. So yeah, I'm excited. Sorry, I'm very excited, as you can tell.
No, that's perfect, because now we're going to let your new family let loose on you and ask you a couple of questions to get to know you.
And side note, speaking of family, I am so honored to have been a part, like to join a family that was so welcoming. Like, when I went onto Instagram, like, Grant Gustin has me on his Instagram, and like, oh, this is Maybe.
Okay, so who wants to start asking Javicia, just to get to know her a little bit?
Yo, we love you so much. You're so great. You're just so nice and cool. First question.
It's so cool because Brandon was like, "Oh, you have Camrus on that show. He's gonna have your back," and I already knew Meagan. And
Yes.
Nicole randomly video with a picture. It was dope.
Yeah, we were all family before you even joined, so it's like it really cements it now that you're here.
Yeah.
My question is, because of your shirt and your plant, is your favorite color green or no?
My favorite color is actually blue.
That's my favorite color.
Nice.
Yeah.
So who was your biggest influence growing up?
I am obsessed with Eartha Kitt. I'm obsessed with Nina Simone. I am obsessed with Kerry Washington. Obsessed with, of course, Reese Witherspoon. Just actresses that really transformed. And then not only did they just transform, but they ended up using their platform to take everything further, not just themselves, but to create opportunity for others. One of my main reasons for being obsessed with Eartha Kitt and Nina Simone is because they use their art for activism. And I just think that that's so important. So those are like my huge influences.
Nice.
Do you do anything outside of acting? Like, is Muay Thai like your main hobby, or do you write? Do you sing?
So I tap. I tap.
Yeah.
Yay.
So Batwoman's gonna need tap boots.
Yes.
That'll work.
We're gonna hear
I am obsessed with cooking. My plans for this summer was to start my online cooking show, which I don't think that's gonna happen now.
Oh wow.
I'm an insane plant mom. This is Diana Ross. Inside of Diana Ross's pot is Tracy.
I love that you named them.
Oh my God.
So cute.
You and
we have Jimi Hendrix. We have Huey P. Newton. Over there is Marvin Gaye. Cher.
Hey.
I'm obsessed. You and Rachel are a match made in heaven.
You're gonna get along very well.
I know Rachel's obsessed with dogs, and I have my Judah Buddha over there somewhere. So yeah, I'm a huge nature plant fanatic.
What made you want to be an actress?
Because I couldn't figure out what I wanted to do. I wanted to do everything in the world. So I was just like, well, how about I'm an actress and I can just play everything in the world. So it's like, I wanted to be a lawyer. I wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to be a professional cheerleader. I wanted to be a writer. There was just so many things that I wanted to do. And I'm like, and I'm a Gemini, so it's just like there's no way I can just settle on one thing. So why even choose to settle on one thing? Just be an actress and you can literally be anything you want to be.
You had like a real job too before you started acting, didn't you? You were helping.
Yeah, I used
people.
to work for the Army. I used to work for the Army. Yeah, paying soldiers that were stop lost in Afghanistan. So I'd pay them for the time that their contract ended to the time that they were able to come back home.
Wow. That's cool.
And I'm a military brat, so I have so much love for our soldiers.
Yes. As a kid, did you have a superhero, a real life superhero that influenced you?
She's in here now, my mama.
Mm-hmm.
My mom. Mom. She raised my brother and I, and she's Army, and she's done 2 tours in Iraq, and she is Superwoman to me. So, matter of fact, she's Batwoman. I call her Bat Mom.
Okay, but really importantly, coffee or tea?
Ooh, it's kind of both. It's coffee right now.
You can't answer both. If you could only have one.
No. I can only have one, so we're just going to choose what I'm drinking right now, which is coffee.
Okay,
there it is.
Yes, there it is.
Awesome. You guys are only going to get to know each other better, so I can't wait to see how this family develops on screen, and often we get to see you do more panels in the future. And so let's talk a little bit about what we can even begin to know about season 2, whatever you guys can share. I'm really curious about what's going to happen with each of your characters and what Caroline and Sarah will even allow us to know. So let's start with, what's going to be different now that there's obviously going to be a huge new mystery.
We have 2 major stories this season as we come into season 2. The first one is, where's Kate? what happened to Kate? Is she alive? Is she dead? Is she missing? Is she on the run? Is she held captive? Is she lost? These are all huge mysteries that push us deep into the season. And all of our characters are going to have different perspectives on that, different conspiracy theories, different points of view, and it will create a lot of drama, tension, mystery, intrigue, and it will be shocking and awesome and amazing. And then we have, which we were just, obviously just talking to Javicia, we have a new hero rising into Gotham. And, Ryan, Javicia can tell you about her, but she's a new character to the world of DC, and she has a lot kind of going against her. She was a girl who was a statistic of injustice the moment she was born, and the system was not built for this person, and she will constantly battle against the system all throughout. She's battled through it her whole life, and she will continue to battle against it as Batwoman. So we're just really, really, really excited to have Javicia playing that role.
I know that going into it, it's going to be a struggle, because when you're a part of a community that has been neglected by the system, that's the initial community that you feel responsible for helping. And that's what you're going to see. You're going to see that community of Gotham that got overlooked. And it's funny because a lot of Mary's patients can be examples of that community. The community that gets overlooked by the hospital, by the crows, it's a very personal thing, but that will be a huge battle. I know when Caroline and I were talking about it, just the battle of like, you can't, they're not the only ones that need help, but those are the ones that Ryan is attached to, that she really wants to be able to help, and just the idea that the same person that will go kick some bad guy's ass will make sure she go feeds the cat in the alley, or gives the little girl, the orphan girl, a place to stay or a place to go. So just to kind of have that crusader that's for that part of the community, I think that's important, and that's really what we're going to dive into this season.
And just going off of that, I'm especially excited to see this new relationship happen in the wake of Mary dealing with this mysterious disappearance and how she decides to sort of take it hard. And she's been a person who I think is always looking for family, is always looking for community, is always looking for somebody to see her, which is, I think, a huge source of why the clinic exists for her. There are just much deeper personal reasons for that. And I think her and Mary and Ryan sort of have that in common, perhaps, which is why I think Mary really looks to Ryan in this way.
So with Sophie, she is going to have a lot on her plate. There's going to be a lot that's going to fall upon her. She's going to have a lot of things that she's going to have to process and deal with and figure out. It sounds a lot like my current life right now, so it shouldn't be too hard to play. But the thing with Batwoman is she's going to really understand the importance of why Batwoman has to stay secretive, and she's going to appreciate that. So, with the new Batwoman coming into Gotham, Sophie's going to have no clue. She's going to want her to stay masked.
I think Alice is just going to be like peeved, here she has this like beautiful, intricate plan for the demise of her sister, and that will have been foiled. But she also, I think, is going to have a lot to worry about, because we're introducing a new character, Sophia, who Alice had talked about in the last season. The introduction of Sophia will be intriguing, just because this is, a sort of a backstory of Alice that we haven't had the opportunity to see before.
And I'm actually really excited because there, was this triangle between Alice, Kate Kane, and Mary. And, without Kate actively in that triangle, I'm really, really interested to see sort of Mary and Alice's relationship and where that goes, because there's a lot still that hasn't been dealt with, and Kate was a buffer of sorts between them. And so without that buffer, you know, anything could happen.
I think we become best friends.
Yeah. Should we go shopping?
Grief
You
doesn't
guys are
mean
gonna.
anything.
You need a ship name now. So Cam, come up with a good ship
I'll work
name
on
for
it.
Mary
I'll work
and
on it.
Alice.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a very interesting year for Luke because Luke doesn't really trust a lot of people, and it took him so long to trust Batman's cousin. So now that she's gone and we have this new person, I mean, obviously he's always down for someone to keep Gotham safe. That's what he cares most about, is keeping Gotham safe. But at the end of the day, Ryan to Luke is someone from the streets, and it was already so hard to trust someone that like had the army experience and had the money and had all the stuff, and to suddenly like give this precious bat suit to like this new person is going to be really hard for him. I think he's going to be down to work with her, but I think there's always going to be a bit of pushback, especially after last season of diving into all of the dad stuff and also having Kate Kane be his sort of connect to the rest of the cast. Like, he never would have met Mary or Sophie or Alice or any of these people without Kate Kane. So now that she's not around, having to deal with all of these new relationships through his main trusting source, and also introduce this new person that he doesn't even know how to deal with yet, is going to be a lot for him.
Caroline and Sarah, I'm curious about, what does Javicia as Ryan and as the new Batwoman bring to the next season that we maybe didn't get a chance to see a lot of, or that you can develop more of in season 2?
When Javicia auditioned, it just personally, when Javicia auditioned, it was obvious to everyone watching the tape within like 5 seconds. We was over Zoom and I texted somebody on the computer in the chat, like, oh, she gets it. Like, it just was so clear that Javicia was meant for this role. And then when I talked to her, she said, I feel like I am Ryan. My friend said, she heard me auditioning and she was like, oh, you are Ryan. And I was like, yeah, it just feels like destiny, which is kind of one of the themes of this season. And then the other thing she did, which I didn't even see until after I knew she was Batwoman, was she had sent this athlete role or athleticism reel of all of like a montage of all of her stuff. One of the things is she was like pushing these giant tires like over like somersaults, and I was like, oh my gosh, like all I needed to do was see you. I told her you had me at tire flip. So she just brings everything, sort of intellect, emotion, heart, athleticism, everything you want in your hero. So I think she had to do a really hard thing, which is take a role for a script that didn't exist yet. And she was willing to trust us with it. So that's awesome.
I would say that I probably had the fastest yes to Javicia, which is before I saw the audition and I just saw her name because I knew her work so well from God Friended Me. So I was like, oh, Javicia, yeah, no, we're done. And then I watched she did such beautiful work, and I still remember her audition for that. But I think that, the idea of superheroes is to fill a void for an hour a week. So for us, it's just so exciting to be able to make a show that very much is about the world we live in, as much as it's set in Gotham.
Great. No pressure, Javicia.
Not at all.
No.
Just the
She's
whole
got
world on
it.
my shoulders.
All right, let's get to some fan questions. A fan from the United States wrote, hey, I just want to first off say, as a Black trans woman, your casting, Javicia, truly helped me feel seen. Honestly, this is a big win. My question is, have you done any costume fittings yet?
No, I haven't done any costume fittings. We were talking about doing costume fittings very soon, so that way we can get prepared as soon as we get there. But I know Caroline and I were also talking about how important it is that if we're going to have a Black Batwoman, that she needs to be like a sister when she becomes Batwoman. So it's important for her to still, like, the silhouette of her to still look like that, So more of like a natural textured hair and things like that. So I think we're still kind of like putting things together. I can't wait. I actually have no idea. I've just been sending her fan art, like, oh my gosh, look at this. This looks really good. And I think she'll be just as surprised as at least everyone else on this panel when we see it.
Yeah, the fan art has been awesome. The fan art is keep the fan art coming. We're all I get like emails from Caroline every day. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so cool. And we love that people are so excited about the character already. And one thing that I loved about season 1 was how Kate's coming out story. She had already like come out of the closet as Kate, but she now wanted Batwoman to come out of the closet, and that was like this huge story arc that we applied to season 1, because it felt like so stifling that this girl who's out is hiding her identity. And likewise, I wanted to tell that same story with Ryan. And so that's what Javicia and I have been talking about, is like, how can we make sure that Ryan isn't hiding what makes her awesome with the suit? And so it's going to be a little bit of an evolution, as we're going to see the suit evolve early on in the season. And, you know, Ryan is like, for me to feel empowered in this thing, it needs to feel like I'm representing something that I'm fighting for.
Ooh. It's going to look good.
Oh.
Camrus, I love your face. You're like,
I'm so excited.
It's gonna be so cool.
Well, a fan from the UK wants to know, what has been your favorite episode to film so far?
I love episode 8, our mid-season finale. I just thought it was so beautifully shot by Holly Dale, and it was a time I left set both thinking that was the hardest thing I've ever done, and also maybe one of the most rewarding days I've ever had on a set. And so I felt really honored that day.
Episode 5 was just one of the best episodes of the season, I think. It was so beautifully shot and so well done. The Kate and Alice story on one side, and then the Luke and Mary introduction story on the other side, it just fit together so well. And also the Alice stuff was just shot really well. Like how we practically did that flashback into real time shot. Mwah! Chef's kiss. And then also
that was
19.
Mark, our DP. It was like brilliant. He did it with
Wild.
lighting alone. There were no
Mark is so good.
Yeah, Mark
Unreal.
He got nominated for an award for that episode. It was amazing.
Yeah.
And my second favorite was 19. 19 was that was the one where Hush kidnapped me and Christina, right? Yeah. Right, Caroline? Was that right? Yeah. That one was dope because like we had so much freaking fun doing that episode, because in one room we had Luke and Julia and Hush and Mouse and Alice all in the same place for like 2 days straight. So it was so fun. Yeah, it was just like, it was really like just hanging out with all your buds, and like the scenes were so fun. We were like torturing each other and stuff, and we're like getting each other's faces. Man, like that was my favorite episode, because we just had some of the most fun shooting that episode from the whole season.
Also from that episode, I felt like I really admired Gabe's work without his face. Like when his face was covered up, he couldn't really make like facial expressions as easily. But I really like loved how he used his like arms and stuff, and I don't know, it was just this like epic, all the villains came out to play, and I just it was really cool to watch.
Yeah, Gabe, who plays Hush, said something very cool. He said since he's never played a character where he can't show his face very much, he just kind of went to more dancey, and he just had to like act with his body. So that's why you see a lot of like hand movements on camera, and it works so well, because he had to put all of his acting talents in his face to the rest of his limbs, which is really cool.
Did he use your? Did he steal yours?
He was inspired by Cam. He would say. He would say.
A fan from Kenya wants to know, how will the new character bond with the Kane family?
I don't see the Kane family really liking Ryan. Several reasons. I mean, obviously because Commander Kane, I mean, he's not about the whole vigilante street kid life, but also because I'm sure they're grieving, not a loss, because I don't know if it would be considered a loss, but well, obviously it's considered a loss, but the way it's presented in the show, I don't know how it will be presented. But just this kid, this woman that kind of came out of nowhere and had such a rough background, because the difference between Kate Kane and Ryan is like Kate Kane was groomed, and she comes from wealth, and she comes from status, while Ryan didn't have anything growing up. So I don't really see them having a connection at all. And I see that being a huge influence on a lot of the tension between Ryan and the Kane family.
That also goes for the Kane family themselves. We've come a long way from our, morning breakfast at the table and sharing coffee with each other to where all of the members of the Kane family are now in crazy different locations, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, physically.
Those were very thoughtful and insightful answers. I think, like Javicia said, there's going to be just this swirl of emotions surrounding Kate's disappearance, and obviously Jacob doesn't like vigilantes. But I think me being able just to see sort of globally what season 2 is about, I think Ryan will ironically ultimately unite the Kane family, whether or not they realize it. There are all of these strands of connection that she brings to them that allows them to continue interacting and having changing dynamics.
Okay, another fan from the UK wants to know, what would everyone like to see happen with Sophie next season?
Ooh, love story with Alice.
Yeah, actually,
You and your love stories, Alice.
That would be good.
Everyone's in love with Alice.
There's enough love for
everyone here, guys.
Personally, I want to see Sophie kind of become more of like a Commissioner Gordon situation, like just rise up in power. And because now that you don't have, I mean, you already didn't really know who Batwoman was, but now that it's a completely new Batwoman, it's another Black woman. I think there's like a sort of family sisterhood there. So I think you're like, I'm gonna protect you still, like you're still a hero. But I think I want to see Sophie just like continue to take over Gotham. I guess like I kind of want to see you become the mayor. Like I want to see you become like the sort of peacekeeper of the city as best as you can.
Selfishly, I want Mary and Sophie to keep kikiing because Sophie looked absolutely drop dead gorgeous in the hold up, and I was like, oh,
Sophie in dresses. Yeah, no, I really loved our stuff with me and Nicole. It was just, I don't know, I think our whole banter was just always really good and just so organic. And yeah, I loved all of that. But I feel like I would love to do something like that with Batwoman, especially with her being Black. But remember, we don't like each other at first. So I feel, seeing the evolution of that will be really interesting and it'll be fun.
Yeah, and I think what will be fun, at least writing Sophie, is that Ryan and Batwoman, but mostly Ryan, sort of helps pull Sophie out of her shell. And maybe we edge you up a little bit this season and just, you're Sophie who plays by the books and colors within the lines when, as we got to know you. But, now you're, maybe, a little more of a...
branches out.
Yeah, branches out a little bit.
Yeah.
I think that will be cool. Yeah.
Hey, the girl's coming out in all different ways. So bring her out.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you to everyone that was participating in the DC FanDome and for this amazing Batwoman panel, getting to meet Javicia for the first time. Ryan Wilder, we cannot wait to see you in action.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Thank you all so much, and we're excited to see you in when we can finally see the silhouette of the new Batwoman. Yes.
Thank you, Trish.
Yeah.
Thanks, Trish.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.